recreational cannabis
Okay.
was legalized in the state of California, and took that responsibility of me trying to protect my friends from going to prison and tax revenue possibilities.
For the city.
I won.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Empire. Today we have Mr. Robert Porter, anthropologist, commissioner for San Bernardino, definitely an advocate for San Bernardino, and so much more. And we're going to learn about him today. Robert Porter, welcome to The Empire.
Thank you very much for having me, and I love San Bernardino.
In case y'all didn't know. And so, Robert, how's your day been, man?
I'm pretty good. I was looking forward to you coming on over, and I was actually looking forward to this interview.
Hey, and it's been good. And thank you again for allowing us to come here and speak with you and chill and all that stuff. And how's your week been? How's your year been, man?
Oh, absolutely incredible. I feel like this year, coming out of the COVID years, has been like a little bit back to normal. You're like going to events that you're starting to redo every year again, versus like, remember before when it went away for a whole 3 years, and then all of a sudden you're back in events and socializing and doing that kind of stuff that you weren't doing before. So this year to me feels like it's a little bit more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. And very productive?
Productive, yes, very productive. Went on a vacation. You know, you always got to do that when you want to do more productivity.
Got you. Where'd you vacate?
We went to Northern California.
Okay.
But that was after I did like a little sabbatical and painted this house here, this 100-year-old house.
Ooh.
So we painted the house. Then we went over to Northern California, visited Amy's parents, had a great time, came back, and I started to work on some studies that I'm doing here in the local area.
Awesome. So, Robert, for people who may not know who you are and the things that you do, can you please let us all know who you are and what you do?
Well, my name is Robert Allen Porter. I was born at St. Bernardine's Hospital in 1976. I went to St. Anne's, and then to Riley, to Golden Valley, then to Pacific High School. Pirates rule. While I was at Pacific, I went to Valley College. Go Wolverines, right? What? And then went to Cal State San Bernardino. Got my undergraduate in anthropology and in a minor in communications. Then went into the archaeological world. I could say archaeologist myself since I was 3 years old. I always knew that would be an angle that I would be interested in going. I always liked history, and I definitely love local history, that's for sure. So I decided I was tired of doing archaeology. It is hard work. It is a lot of times in inhospitable areas that are extreme temperatures of hot and cold. And I had a heat stroke, and my body just wasn't doing those desert conditions the way that it used to.
Is like a heat stroke, like you pass out? Like what happens?
Yeah.
What happened to you?
What happened to me is I did a whole week of hard digging in very humid conditions, and it's hard to get back the water that you need to intake to replace it. And then, being an archaeologist at the time, we were partying a little hard.
Got you.
Yeah, so if you're spending time at the bar in the evenings and trying to do archaeology in the morning, probably a little harder on you than
That part.
Yeah.
You're already dehydrated when you go to bed.
Yes. So I wasn't taking care of my body by hydrating properly, and I had the reaction of a heat stroke. And what it is every part of your body starts to contract, and you feel, at first you feel shivers, but then every part starts to contract, and then you should go to the doctor and get an IV. But I didn't. I went home, and I which is very dangerous. But I thought I could, go get past. Because I didn't understand it properly. Now that's why I'm teaching. That's why I'm being honest here. And I lived, but after that, you're not the same. It's like you're not as good in those hot conditions. Your body just doesn't react properly because you've heard it. So I decided at that point it was time to go back to school. So I went back to Cal State San Bernardino, and I got my master's in holistic education, paleontology, and anthropology, interdisciplinary studies, right? So I created my own program to build local history curriculum of California dinosaurs and, like ancient history, paleo history, real stuff, and, local indigenous and more modern history here in San Bernardino.
So when you say holistic, I think of holistic medicine for some reason, but how would you explain like holistic teachings, I guess?
So holistic education is basically where you incorporate a lot of those holistic forms of teaching together with education, right? So my understanding and what I got from the whole process of this 2-year cohort was we learn how to show the kids how to build the foundation, right? We show them that. We show them how to use the tools. And then you let the students build their own house or building or business, or whatever it may be.
Okay.
Right? So that's where that comes in. And part of that holistic process, I believe, is an introduction to more history, culture, and definitely dinosaurs into the San Bernardino Unified School District. That was my initial aim and goal. Unfortunately, COVID stole that business from me.
Right into your arms.
Yeah, and then I never, I went back to school to get, finish my degree up, get it all set in stone last year. Got it all done, right? But
congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. It was hard work, and it was a 10-year process. Getting your degrees is not always quick and easy.
No.
Sometimes it's a lot of delay and hard work. And I had an excellent GPA, 4.0. I did incredible. But it's hard when you have a job and you got to do these things. But hey, I would not be the person I am today without Cal State San Bernardino. Let me tell you that is certain. They made me the person I am today. They educated me in a very, very proper way for our local area. So I feel like my education here in San Bernardino can help me help others form a similar path to where they might want to one day stay here on their own and help our community, right? This is my choice. I could go anywhere I want to go. I could go anywhere with this degree. But like when I spoke to the superintendent of schools here in the city of San Bernardino, Mr. Ariano, and he had to go to Riverside and come back to really give back to the community here. And that so impressive as it is, right? But
Can you explain? What do you mean? He went to Riverside to learn things and then bring that information back? Or?
The jobs just aren't available to hone our own, or we're not honing our own to teach and to be here. We're having to go out into the world, build careers, then come back.
Okay.
And that whole missing gap of those are some of the best, most productive years of our local people that we're sending away because they have no choice but to commute out and then probably live here because it's cheaper, right? And the other thing is the good jobs here are often given to people that don't live here, right? So then that money leaves the economy, right? So that there's this whole, and it can't be dictated by law or anything like that, but it could be helped along by local elite in our community, hire more from our community as
Okay.
possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like be more intentional.
Yes, and also be more intentional in the training process of our managers and coordinators to look for locals that might want an opportunity, and I'm not saying give them precedent over anybody else, but but look for the talent that is out there and don't let it get away.
I like that. And so I think what you were saying, Robert, like the intention, I think is very important, and if you guys are liking this information, please like, subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps the channel a lot. But Robert, I wanted to get a little bit more into who you are.
Okay.
And if you can just give us a brief story, as much as you can, about how you grew up. Pretty sure you grew up in San Bernardino, I'm just assuming. I think you mentioned some. But to the man that you are today, maybe some details that we didn't really cover so far.
All right. Well, if you would like some insight into Robbie Porter,
Mr. Robbie?
yeah, Robbie Porter, who went to St. Anne's and Riley Elementary. My father, Peter C. Porter, was from Canada and immigrated here to California, and then joined the Marine Corps, 17. Went to Vietnam, fought for his new country. Actually became a citizen in Vietnam, and got wounded. Lost his vision. Spent his time in Okinawa, never even seeing any of the people there. Came home, went to the Haight, 1968.
What's that?
Haight-Ashbury up in San Francisco, during the prime kind of fun times.
Okay.
Right? My father was blind, but went there and had his retinas replaced and had a good time, obviously. Came back down here to San Bernardino and got his vision back slowly and moved on to Elm Street. My mama's side. My great-grandparents immigrated here in 1922. My grandfather was born, and I'm sorry, I made a little bump. But my grandfather was born, and he over on 3rd and Pedley, but I think he was born at Community Hospital. And they had a little market on that street. Time goes on. Do you want to hear a Prohibition story?
Let's go to Prohibition.
All right, I'll give you a little Prohibition story. We used to have a cellar at the old house on 3rd and Pedley. And the cellar is where the cherry juice was kept.
Okay.
And the cherry juice was very strong cherry juice for that time period during Prohibition. And the
type of cherry juice that archaeologists would drink at night?
Yeah, yes. It's what's kind of funny is some Treasury agent actually came specifically to the kind of store, restaurant-ish kind of thing they had there, and to have some of that cherry juice.
Yes.
Just to enjoy it. So that's our little Prohibition story. Then, unfortunately, in the 1938 flood, that whole basement filled in with sediment. Later on, one of my first amateur archaeological experiences was after the demolition of that home, to see them pull old bottles and mason jars and things of that nature from that flood event from out of that cellar area. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So little side note. So that's my great grandparents. They were the Davises. That was Bud Davis, and then my grandma Melba Davis is from Bloomington, and they got married when they were very young. My grandfather went to San Bernardino High School, and then They got married and they had 5 kids. My mama was one of them. My mama grew up on Elm Street. She went to San Gregonio High School and Valley and then Cal State.
Okay.
She met my dad when she was 16 on Elm Street. They dated for 2 years and then got married. And they were in an apartment. They got they did the family, they did the single couples thing kind of thing without, not single couple.
Are you the only child?
No, I have a brother. So they waited 4 years. They had me. And after they had got a house, my dad had the GI Bill, so bought a house on Fermancha. And then my brother was born 4 years later. And we had a nuclear family.
2 and 2.
Yeah, throughout my life. My dad was very supportive. He was a construction worker, but a contractor, sewer and septic by trade, heavy equipment operator, especially the backhoe. He loved it.
Wow.
I mean, it was like an extension of his body. He really felt comfortable with it. Unfortunately, but maybe positively in some ways, he'd never extended that knowledge to me. Now, I'll ask you a question. Why do you think my dad wouldn't teach me how to run the backhoe?
I don't know. I can't even give a speculation because I have no awareness of who your father was as a person.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll give you a hint. It is because I could say archaeologist from 3 years old, right?
Okay.
So he didn't want me to become a ditch digger, follow in his footsteps.
Okay.
He wanted me to go to school. Like, he didn't have a high school diploma, so he was very adamant about it.
You know what I found really interesting is that, like, your father came as an immigrant from Canada, but he was able to enlist into American war. I thought he could only be a citizen and enlist, but they're like, hey, we'll take anybody, I guess.
Yeah, during the draft, yes. If you were in the United States, there was a good chance you were going to get drafted.
Wow.
Yes. And like when they found out he wasn't a citizen, there was actually another person there in Vietnam, and they literally ripped him because they didn't want that predicament to happen. Mm-hmm. They ripped him out of his unit, and they made him do a citizenship oath with a high-ranking officer that was there, a colonel or something. And he did it, and became an American citizen in Vietnam.
Right there. Did he get drafted into the war, or did he want to go in there voluntarily?
He voluntarily went in, and when he got home, that's when his draft card showed up.
Got you. So you're Canadian, technically.
So that's an interesting aspect of my life.
Yeah.
My father is from Canada, but my mama was, I'm 4th generation living here in San Bernardino.
Yeah.
Right? We did actually have even our great grandfather come move to San Bernardino, but he didn't live. He lived here, but he didn't, wasn't born here.
Yeah.
So people followed us, our family, to San Bernardino. Very cool stuff. Then, we also grew up in San Felipe, BC, Mexico, right? So during the good times, my father made some good money, and he invested in a house on the beach down in
Mexico.
In San Felipe, Mexico, right?
Wow.
But don't think that, oh, wow, you're rich. No, it's not like that. The only reason we could do that is because we could never afford to do that up in the States. It was too expensive.
A lot cheaper.
Yeah, it was, at the time, it was, you could build a home for $20,000 and build it out of ladrillos or bricks. Mm-hmm. And so we did that, and then it didn't have any electricity or phone or anything like that.
Yeah. Running water?
No. Running water was a brackish salt water that came from the wells that were local. Mm-hmm. So you didn't want to brush your teeth with it, definitely.
Got you.
But you could wash and feel a little crusty afterwards.
Got you.
And especially when it was cold. Woo-wee! Yeah. But grew up during the summers in Mexico. Basically in bare feet and cut off shorts, and that's it. right? Running around, hanging out with all my Mexican friends, and they called me El Maestro
Okay.
because like I would help. We would every Friday have an English Spanish class all together, and we're just like 10 to 12 at the time, and just sit there and talk and like they would point at things and I'd say it in English and they would say it in Spanish. It was so cool, and like we really connected well, and a lot of those people I still consider my family down there. So for me, I have a unique perspective on life, having been the son of an immigrant, but also living part of my life immersed in another culture that accepted me whole for who I was.
Yeah.
But also in other aspects of the culture down there, a feeling that discrimination that can occur when you are one culture or a smaller bit of a culture within a larger one.
Can you explain?
Can you say the word gringo?
Gringo.
Yeah. So like that to me is kind of derogatory, right? Like to me.
Okay.
Yeah. But
The way it was said to you.
yeah. But like it's just a freaking word, but like it makes you feel different when you don't belong. Right? When you feel like or maybe not you don't belong. Maybe you want to belong so bad. And maybe you do belong, but the others find ways to make you feel like you don't belong, right? Even though it's not true. It's just they play on those emotions. And that sometimes happened in town where they just automatically assumed that I was some rich American, gringo. But when we didn't have much money and we were surviving off a set budget, and we were getting the smaller onion over, because it's cheaper kind of thing, like watching your money. So that type of thing helped my father save money while he was working up in the States. So we would be in Mexico to save money while my father, because air conditioning, all this stuff during summer in the United States is very expensive. So it worked out well. We did miss our pops, of course. But it gave me an opportunity to be immersed into a culture that I respect very highly, and it's part of who I am today.
The things that I guess the first thing that comes to my mind is like, have you been to Canada?
Yes.
Okay.
So I've been to Niagara Falls, Canada.
Okay.
Where my father is from. I've also been. My father and mother took me on 2 pilgrimages by station wagon.
No way.
Yes.
How was that experience?
Yeah, up the West Coast into British Columbia the first time and back down.
Okay.
The second time up the West Coast, then across over to Alberta, down through Yellowstone,
Okay.
and then back down those routes. And it was cool.
When you said station wagon, I immediately thought, I don't know why, I thought of like the old Pilgrim station wagons. That's what I thought of immediately, like with the horse, with the horse and stuff like that. That's what I thought of. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, this is more like a Caprice classic.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
But it's still like that feeling of being in the third seat, the one in the back where you have to lift it up. You kind of felt as a kid, especially in long trips, that like you had your own little area.
Your own spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had your books or your G.I. Joes you play back there, because these were long trips, right? So you can imagine me and my brother were probably, my brother James were not always nicest to each other back there. Or maybe it was me.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Hey,
Yeah.
one of the two.
Yeah.
This is back when I guess hot boxing with cigarettes was okay.
Yeah, well, my dad learned really early that cigarettes were bad. So he quit smoking when I was just before I was born.
Oh, cool.
And then restarted back up. And then later on quit again. So he had they had his trials and tribulations with that. My mama never smoked or drank and she still doesn't to this day.
Got you. But I just remember that era, like the era people would just like smoke cigarettes in the car, stuff like that.
So the other thing is my parents married. She worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken, School of Hope, San Bernardino Unified School District, retired. And my dad, unfortunately, in 2008, when the economy crashed, his business crashed.
Mm-hmm.
And he got sick and several other things, and he took it upon himself to commit suicide. So he went over to Riverside National Cemetery with his Purple Heart in his hand and committed suicide there next to one of his friends. One of the hardest things I've ever been through, let me tell you, team, that is not something I wish on anybody. But I am a stronger person because of it. Even though I feel like I want to cry right now, I still inside know that I'm a much stronger person because of that traumatic thing that I went through and had counseling for, right?
Okay.
I didn't just go and figure all that stuff out by myself. And I tried. You always can try. You can really work on that your whole life. But like to have a professional help you is something special and should be embraced. And my experience was with my holistic education course at Cal State San Bernardino. There was a whole counseling element to it that made me face this issue. And believe me, I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. I mean, some people think, oh, wow, San Bernardino in rough times has taken this or that from me, right? San Bernardino almost took everything from me, but I still now want to give everything of me back.
Yeah. I probably shouldn't ask, but I have to ask. And you don't have to answer if you don't feel comfortable answering. But did your father leave a note? Because they say a lot of the times they'll leave a note.
Man, he left all kinds of clues, but my dad, he was very precise and a planner.
Mm-hmm.
So he had individual conversations. So he didn't do the note thing.
Okay.
But the one person that he couldn't have an individual conversation with is his mother. He did leave a signed Mother's Day card for her. So that's all we got.
Wow. That's beautiful. And
So, but just the other part is like not knowing that stuff may be better.
okay. Got you.
I don't
Better
know.
not said.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some people they need that closure or whatever, but like, I kind of feel like I'm glad we had that last conversation versus I read it out of a note.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I wanted to get into San Bernardino, Robert. You mentioned that you give your all to San Bernardino, right? And
Everything that I can that I don't give to my family.
of course, right? And basically San Bernardino is your family, technically, right?
Yeah, they're definitely growing into a huge team of family members, that's for sure.
Right. So I guess a good question is two things. Why does San Bernardino mean so much to you? And the second part is, what made you want to start this whole I Love San Bernardino thing?
Okay, so if you grew up when I grew up, people were wearing shirts that basically said, San Bernardino was the 187 capital of the world, and it was honorable. But was it? Was that honorable? Was it honorable for me to say San Bernardino all those years? Did I help create that image? Was it me? Was I part of the problem? So I stood up to myself. I looked at myself in the mirror. I saw what other people were saying about our city. I saw them hating. And I was no better. So I changed my ways.
So basically, being silent is just as bad as
Yes.
okay.
And also just that like on a negative report or post, that time you join a group that says bad things about our area, that time you say the negative before you even think that there could possibly even be a positive. Those all equal bad morale for our whole community. And I believe that may have stemmed from LA using us to deflect the bad things media-wise that was going on there.
Can you give an example?
For example, you often see these types of rankings in various newspapers that rank different things. And it feels to me often they rank specific subjects that might make San Bernardino number one, right? But if you changed one or two of those rankings in that subject line, right, you might end up focusing on, the heart of downtown LA.
So, for example, like who has the most homeless, and then it points to San Bernardino type of thing.
Yeah. Instead of, we know that everyone's heard of Skid Row, right? Why does Skid Row still exist? I mean, why is it a name that it has stood the test of time?
Like a historical place now.
Yeah, why?
Location.
Why? And if you can't answer that question, that's the whole, if you have the answer to that, that's the answer to all the problems in Southern California with this unhoused situation. You figure out how to fix Skid Row. If we would have done that 10 years ago, we'd know better what to do now with this stuff. Now, I do blame the fentanyl and the epidemic, but good news, some of those numbers are going down, so that is positive, right? So hopefully we'll get a handle on this situation and be able to help others more, especially in the unhoused. I really feel for them.
Yeah, and so you said you started this positive moment in representing San Bernardino because you felt like you were participating in the negative and you just didn't want to do it anymore.
Yes.
Right?
So that's how the group I Love San Bernardino came about. There's a lot of reasons, but some of the main ones were someone approached me and basically said, hey, you quit this other group because they were talking negative. Why don't you make your own? So I was like, that kind of sparked it in me, like, yeah, well, maybe I should make my own, right? So I was like, well, you know what? I'll make a group that you can never, ever see anything bad about San Bernardino, and I'm going to change it all myself. I am a one-man army. And guess what, man? There is no way you can save San Bernardino as one person.
Yeah, can't save anything with one person.
No. Like, so I woke up really quickly that I needed a team and I needed help. And, that's like trial by fire, trying to love San Bernardino all the time. And guess what? It was impossible. Our people, they still want to be informed. They want to know about murders. They want to know about the homeless situation. They want to know about fires and police activity. They want to know. They want to be informed. So who am I to create a group that all about San Bernardino but not be truthful with the people
What's
that
happening?
are there?
Yeah.
Now, you can focus your groups, which later on I learned you had to do, right? But I could still focus on positive, right? And try to increase the posts to where there's more positive and negative. Hence, I Love San Bernardino has gone through several stages of a learning curve for me and for my admin. I did not do this on my own.
Yeah.
The admin are so pivotal in like making sure that like crazies are taken off there immediately.
Crazies? Can you explain?
Yeah, like you get people that just want to be detrimental to the page.
Okay.
right? So once you start getting involved politically, or you know, I don't consider myself famous, but locally, people do know who I am, and that makes you a target. And say you're helping somebody or helping a cause that they are not agreeing with, they'll attack. So there's a political crazies, right? They're sharks. And they are usually a fake profile, but somebody from the community. Those ones are more fun because that gives me a challenge to find out who it is, right?
Okay. Can you give us a story? We'd
Yeah.
love to hear a story.
Yes. Okay. Not really crazy, but one time someone tried to put a survey about San Bernardino on the group from a fake profile, right? But I was like, like, why not just come to me and ask me to do, like, what was the point in the angle and all the political?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I never let it on. I just disappeared it, right? So it never got that,
Attention,
the
yeah.
data it wanted. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot. You'd be surprised. Negative posts about political candidates disappear as fast as I can. Sometimes a few sneak through. I'm sorry. Local ones, especially, if it's negative, I just don't allow it because I don't hear everybody fighting and stuff.
Yeah. That's not what the page is for.
Yeah, federal politics. I used to embrace it because I expect our people to be knowledgeable of our government because they make the decisions that affect us every day. But like, we cannot be civil right now with federal politics, so I have to remove it from the group because it helps to make a safe place for us to still be able to have a conversation, but not be fighting all the time.
Yeah.
So, I like it.
One of the things that I really like, going back to the positive thing, is like you have, positive word fill jar,
Yep.
fill the positive things, and number one, I want to thank you, Robert, for creating the page and giving a space for people to know what's going on in their community, to post things, to look for work, to look for help. And I know it's just a great hub. And I think we talked before, like the page that you have right now, I think is close to 12,000 followers, but it's not your first page.
Yes.
You've been taken down before, right?
So,
Do you know why?
yes, the first page, I love San Bernardino, was taken down for me thinking that I could stop Facebook.
What does that mean?
I thought that I
No,
might.
Mark.
Yeah. Like I thought that I could stand up to them and say, you know what? We have free speech here in our country, right? And my admin warned me, but I did not listen. And I went on vacation, and too many of those fight videos or whatever went on there, and Facebook just deleted the group. The second time, it's still it says a copyright violation, but like it's a weird. It was malfunctioning during the time, and I still cannot appeal it. I've been trying still for over almost 2 years now to try to appeal that old group back, but it's all good. But I Love San Bernardino page, since I've had since the beginning, we're like 10,000 or something. I Love San Bernardino by Robert Porter group, which now I focus on positive stuff only, and paleontology, indigenous studies, culture, music, all the fun stuff. So you can like be up at like 12 at night and be like, you know what? I'm gonna dive into to that hole of I Love San Bernardino and dig up all this entertainment, right?
See what events are going on.
Yeah, and then there might be some San Bernardino stuff all in between there, right?
Yep.
So you can like not just be inundated with, because those pages to me are boring that are just only local stuff. Like, that's not fun. That's not what I wanted to make it fun. Like, I love diving into these articles about paleontology and studying the Yuhaviatam or the Kuya, and just being like, wow, I want San Bernardino to be educated on this too, especially those that want to.
Yeah.
So I use this to try to teach in my own way the people the stuff that I love. and lead by example that way. And if you want, you can read that article and be up to date on the same things that I love about science.
And see what you think.
Yeah, or gardening or whatever.
Anything, a new recipe.
Yeah, yes.
A new recipe.
Because I also cater to women, right? So you got to know your demographic, right? So I believe that ladies that have kids and have to take them to school and make their lunch and do all the stuff that they gotta do as a mama and the papas too, all the stuff that they gotta do too.
The mamas and the papas.
Yeah, sometimes the mama's working all the time, sometimes the papa's working time, sometimes there's no papa, sometimes there's no mama. Parents in general are busy. Well, they want a place where those posts are at, right? They want a spot where they can see, there's a backpack, a giveaway. There's some free food, right? Because you need it, right? And I've been there. I don't have to go to McDonald's. I could cook that recipe right there. I want to inspire you to cook. I want to inspire you to grow your own food. I want to inspire you to study history. I want you to study politics.
Yeah.
I want you to embrace these things so you can understand the world around you, so we can make a difference.
Yeah, it takes a team. It takes a village.
And you've realized this yourself. You're making a difference. You're on your own with these podcasts and making a name for yourself in the community. And I wanted to thank you while we're on the air right here.
Hey, well, thank you so much. It takes one to know one, as they say. And, I want to give a shout out to Jason Lola, because he was the first person that mentioned how important your page is. And he was saying, like most cities will have like a community page where the community could find out where things are going on. And Jason, I remember he said, he's like, you know what, like Robert's page, I Love San Bernardino, should be the city's page, because that's where everyone goes to find what's happening. How can we make this happen, Robert? How can we get the city to partner with you to make this happen? I
know the answer. Jason Lola for mayor. That's how we'll do it.
Got you.
I called it right now.
Let him know.
Yeah. But, Jason Lola with wax skateboards and sesh printing and all his little businesses. Wow. What an inspiration locally for our area. So I met Jason through a project. He was wanting to change the name over at the skate park on East Street and give it a name for one of the local skateboarders.
Yeah.
Yeah. And succeeded. And succeeded well. Still named. Oh, man.
We got it.
Yeah.
But how can we make the page part of the city? How can we do that?
It will never happen. They'll never. The reason why I Love San Bernardino is successful is because the city doesn't run it.
Okay.
All right. They can control me through my commissionership, right? So I made an oath to the state of California and to the city of San Bernardino, right? And I do keep it, right? But they can't control the page, right? So once you start like giving too much control to one entity or the other, then they start doing things like, for example, I've had, I won't say the entity, but I've had entities call me and want something removed off the page. Right? So sometimes I oblige, sometimes I don't.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, but that's up to me, right?
Yeah.
But if they're a benefactor or something like that, things change. So, money, changes a lot of things. So having I Love San Bernardino separate gives us a separate spot. And how I alleviate the connectedness is I've been trying to every day share from the school district, from Rialto City, from Rancho Cucamonga, Victorville.
Yeah.
Share from these different Facebook groups what their events are and local news. So we can come together as a community, not just the city. But remember, San Bernardino is a county. And Riverside County used to be part of San Bernardino County.
Okay.
So I still consider the whole Inland Empire part of the I Love San Bernardino network. And there's no reason that we can't embrace, Pomona And,
All of it.
yeah. I mean, our local communities around us, I mean, we can still go to Pomona events and they can come to ours,
Of
right?
course.
Yeah. And then we feed off of each other instead of like always trying to, be separate or things like that.
Yeah, it's a hub for information and positive things,
Yes.
right? What was I gonna say? I really like, well, I guess two things. I heard that San Bernardino County is the biggest county in the United States, and I just want to throw that out there. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to get to is that, you show up to the council meetings, the town hall meetings, right? Why do you do that? And why do you feel like it's so important? Because the things that you say seem to be very crucial, and you record it, which I think is awesome.
So that's a lead by example thing that started. So I was running out of San Bernardino. Councilman Fred Charette and a team were going to turn Wildwood Park into partial retail, partial charter school, partial T-ball area, and remove the dog park. Move it down the street. So when I went up to him at first, like my main concern was a 2-story gymnasium in front of the view of the Arrowhead. And I felt that was illegal. Because you cannot block the view of a historical resource without asking those people first.
Yeah.
Right? So like say, homeowners and stuff, you have to check with them. If you're going to block the view of the Arrowhead, that could lessen the value of their property, right? So I had a legal remedy.
Okay.
If I needed to, right? That's from the archaeology world and CEQA and the stuff you learn when you do that stuff. And I knew I was going to stop that 2-story gymnasium, from popping up there. Now, the other rumor was that they were trying to get enough tax base and at least a school up in the north end to create a separate city that they were going to divide the city in half. And
wow.
That was not going to happen on my watch.
Was it like north end, south end type of thing?
Yes, and they those people that did that, they did some test studies at local churches, and those ladies came to me and talked to me. So I know that it occurred, but they still to this day deny it. So that still may be in the works. You never know, right? A lot of times they sit on these ideas, but you're not going to take my city away from me. Like the southern part of San Bernardino built the north end. You're not going to take all the brand new stuff and take away the tax base and then no, get out of there. So I fought hard. I fought hard with a lot of people, Deb Matley, Scott Olson, a whole team tried to protect Wildwood Park. And they were having a big meeting with a public relations company to try to sell the idea to the public. We filled that thing up with advocates for the park. They didn't even get to give their presentation.
Hilarious.
They fired their PR company that day. We ate up all their food. And my political understandings began. And I realized, wow, you have to fight for what you want. And if you do not insert yourself into the process very early on, that stuff is going to steamroll right over you like nothing. So how do you learn about the city properly? You have to be at the city meeting. And how do you influence those politicians up there? You have to lobby them. Is it better to lobby them individually, like that, just straight up? Or is it better to lobby them on film where you can lobby them and then lobby the people at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
So oftentimes speeches at the dais are not meant for them. They're meant for the people, right? People then can make their own decisions how they want to treat that information. And then a lot of times from my commissioner position, I can lobby the things that I need in government personally. 4 votes. Now you need 5 votes on our council to get something passed. If you can get 5 votes, you don't have to worry about a veto from the mayor. If you get 4 votes and the mayor agrees with you, then you can get something passed as well, right? But not in a devious way, team. You get things passed for San Bernardino that are positive. Like our commission, what would I lobby for? Grants. Money for grants. That's important, to get grants for our artists. They need money. So if I can use my abilities to lobby correctly, to inspire the politicians to vote positively for something, they may have done it on their own, but I could still give them the data necessary to make the decision even more easier for them to make, right? To press the button and make the vote, right?
Yeah.
And our commission, got $100,000 total, and then divided into 2 different grants, and got that money out there. And I'm sure that made a difference in those organizations and artists' lives.
Definitely.
They at least got to do one piece of art, one work, and all because our team, took the time to put that together with the help of Parks and Rec, of course. Their whole team is incredible, and then present that through staff to the council for a vote. And the first vote failed. Councilman Sanchez and Councilman Surratt wanted more data. Well, that's good, right? That's better than saying no, right?
Yeah.
So we went and got more data and came back and got the votes.
And got what you needed.
Yes. And then we got the money, and now that's passed out. So that's where going to city meetings has ultimately led to me being able to help San Bernardino, not only through information networking and getting it all out there, but really bringing money in to help somebody.
Yeah.
Our tax dollars that we pay for, getting that money to someone that needs it, that is really helping. Where else would that money have gone? I mean, there's a million wheres it could have gone. It could have fixed streets, all these other things that we barely ever would have noticed. But at least come some murals and good stuff. So that's what lobbying's all about. That's a reason I go. That's why others go. Our meetings, the first 30 minutes are actually some of the most important parts of our meeting. Why? That's when you can really lobby, and that's where you can really talk to everybody. So I personally talk to every single person as an anthropologist I can in the meeting. The people I don't know, which are very few, I immediately go and ask why they're there.
Yeah. Can you educate people who may not know what lobbying is?
Lobbying is being basically presenting your position to an elected official or someone of power and trying to get them to see your way.
Got you. Like, oh, I'm for school lunches. I'm not for school lunches.
Yeah, and some of these consultants and lobbyists get paid big money, right? And some people just do it because they know how to do it and they like it. Mm-hmm. And then there's politicians that do it all the time and never stop and are constantly lobbying everybody and trading and, the ideas are flowing, right? Because they all want the idea to seem like theirs or whatever,
We got you. Got you. Did you finish your thought about lobbying and stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty. Basically, if you want to lobby our city, our state, or our federal government, you can do all of that right here from your own home. Right?
Okay.
You can send the letters to those different organizations, Pete Aguilar, Mr. Ramos, Assemblymember Ramos, or Assemblymember Eloise Reyes Gomez, right? You can send, and then you can make differences, but you have to do it early.
You got to jump in. Okay.
Yeah, you can't wait until they're gonna vote on it the day of, or they're talking. You gotta get in on the process as soon as you hear a word, and then fight hard. And if you fight hard, then you have a chance.
And you jump right in.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get into your commissioner work, right? I'm pretty sure a lot of us have no idea what that is, being a commissioner. I immediately think of Commissioner Gordon from Batman.
Okay.
All right. So for people who don't know like what a commissioner is,
He was a police commissioner.
See, so it's different. There's different types of commissioners.
Yes, there is.
So can you please tell us what the commissioner role that you did, what it was, and why?
All right. So when I first started, lobbying or going to the city meetings, I knew that I would never be a commissioner because a lot of those council members didn't like me at all. I was like the thorn in their side often, and I just accepted it that I would never be a commissioner.
Got you. You were the villain.
Yeah, but I was just speaking the truth.
Yeah.
We needed money, and they didn't have any way to get money. And I was trying to show them a way to get money. And now, eventually, the state is going to give them a lot of money for it. So, over $3 million. So it's better than that stuff going into the gray market. So that's why I kept continuously fighting during the bankruptcy for a revenue stream that was literally almost impossible to get at any other time in history, right? It's hard to get new revenue streams for cities. I mean, there's only a few. So, like, to add one, wow, we did, right? So that hard work basically labeled me, and probably to their detriment. Yeah. If they would have embraced me, maybe I would have helped them figure this stuff out a little better. But since they made me an opponent, we did a good job, and we worked our butts off to try to get them out of there. Now, the only one we weren't successful on was, Councilman Fred Charette. Elmo put it all together, and we tried to recall him up there in the 4th Ward, in the back in the Cannabis Corner days. But now Fast Freddy, that's what we called him back then. Now he votes for cannabis. So, like, all of them do.
Okay.
Like, not for negative things, but for things like access and increases in the amount of licensing and stuff. I think they're starting to realize that being overzealous with the regulations has just led to chaos and a hard life for the people that have taken that business on. Right?
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll realize that and start, they just okayed Cannabis Lounge's team. What up?
So you guys are going to fuck. So back to the commissioner thing. So why, how, what's your role?
Okay. So like I was explaining why I wouldn't be a commissioner, right?
Yeah.
Right. And but as you get involved and time goes on, Prop 64 passed.
Which is?
The recreational cannabis was legalized in the state of California, and took that responsibility of me trying to protect my friends from going to prison and tax revenue possibilities.
For the city.
I won.
Yeah.
Or we won, right? But like in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have to fight for that no more. Oh my brain, that's free, right? Well, I'm gonna focus on Love San Bernardino County. Take it back to the county level, right? So that's where I started to get more involved in politics and being friendly with politicians and trying to help as much as possible. Slowly made friends.
Stop being a thorn in people's side.
Yes, because I needed to get votes for certain things. I realized that. And in Dr. Hill, Dr. Margaret Hill, rest her soul, love her so much, I miss her very much. She groomed me, right? Like, and she said, you catch more bees with honey, right? But it's not the catch flies, and it's not that one. Like, she was intent with her words. She didn't mix them up. She was very intent. And it was about, if you provide the honey, other bees will come and eat with you. wasn't about getting a fly stuck in there. No, eat fly, eat. None of that. It's about bringing all the bees together. And that was so profound. And I was seeing myself in a different way, that I could make a difference, right? So I started focusing on the positive things, right? And Councilman Alexander and First Felicia Alexander approached me for the turkey trot that I've been doing for is it 9 years now, or perhaps the 9th annual turkey trot coming up here.
2024.
Yeah, Thanksgiving Day, right in the early morning. You better register on sanbernardinoturkeytrot.com. But it's an incredible event, and they had me MC it. They believed in me, and I kept doing it and doing it, and you know what? I was like, you know what? If you run for office, Damon, I'll be loyal. And if I'm loyal, especially for that term, I make sure it's specific. I will not switch on you unless you lose, right? Unless you lose a primary or something, right? I'll stay there, right? If I pick you, I'm going to be loyal to you, because that's what I would expect my friends to do for me, right? Like, I see that too much, where people, as soon as the political winds change, they, jump ship, right? Yeah. And what's funny is that don't always work, dude, because you jump ship, then all of a sudden that other ship sinks, and you didn't realize it was going to sink because you didn't really properly watch what was going on in the fishbowl.
And now you're drowning.
Yes. I always say I'd never like to get in the fishbowl. I like to be the bald eagle up there at the top, circling the fishbowl, watching everything that's happening, right? Yeah. So, Damon won. Right? He did a hardcore walking. He was 7th Ward councilman. And I was like, whoa, that's so cool. Someone I supported all the way, won in my ward, right? I had helped, Sandra Ibarra, but she was in a different ward. And at the time, we weren't really getting commissioners out of other wards. It hadn't occurred yet. Mm-hmm. So it was just specific to the ward. You could only be for being commissioner, which I don't believe is the proper way to do it, because you should utilize the talent within the community for your commissionerships. Mm-hmm. But regardless of that, that's what Damon Alexander did. That day he won, he came to the house. He talked to me and my mama, and basically said, hey, Robert, I'd like you to be our Arts and Historical Preservation Commissioner for the city of San Bernardino. And I said, I would be honored. And he said, I'd also like you to start the Valencia Neighborhood Association, that chapter. And I said, okay, I'll do that. So I've been working those two positions since he began his term. It's almost over. I am a lame duck, but not in the neighborhood association. If you want to come there, that's every second Wednesday at 5 o'clock at the Denny's over there on Highland and Valencia. And we meet, and we're part of a bigger neighborhood association across the city. And NAC does great things in bringing the issues from our community to the city, and coordinating events and things like that. And it gives the people a place to complain.
Okay. Express their thoughts.
If it makes them feel better to complain to me, and hope that I can get that message to the people that need to hear it, that's a good role for me.
Okay, it fits.
Yeah, they're not absolutely expecting me to succeed, but still gives them hope.
Gotcha. So after Damon came by and you guys had the famous porter cherry drink, and then you were hired for this commissioner role. What's your responsibilities as this art and commissioner or arts and?
So by the way, I know I don't drink for 15 years. For the record, I worked hard at that. By the way, man. I think Damon's the same way. So, okay. But I love me some cherry juice, and I got some in the fridge right now. I'll bust it out. But So, what was the question again?
So after you were hired as commissioner for
Not
the arts,
hired. This volunteer position.
oh, as you accepted the volunteer position, what is your roles and responsibility for arts and preservation? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. What's your role and responsibility?
So, our role is advisory. We're meant to create ideas. We're meant to okay ideas from Parks and Rec on art and history. We're here to help protect or give ideas that will help protect our monuments, and give ideas that will help artists better understand how to do art in our city, grants to make that art possible, and create networks that can connect them to possible grants and art events that are local, right? Like, so these networks, it's, if you can get them all, the artists together and send a mass email, it's better, that kind of stuff. Right?
Yeah.
So we're an advisory role, so it's a lot of ideas, and a lot of stuff comes from Parks and Recs, and Director Lydia Goldfeld and Vanessa and the team over there, and they bring the ideas, and then we look at them, and we'll add our ideas and send it back to staff and back and forth. Sometimes it's like, sometimes it was me, like I would be like, hey, I want these monuments fixed. Can we vote on it? We all voted. Yes. Let's make a list of the monuments that need to be fixed. So, so Lisa, the one of the liaisons in there, and our secretary, she works hard to make sure those monuments are fixed, and the right plaques get there, the right things get there, and she's been working really hard on the damages done to Pioneer Cemetery. So I respect the staff so much in their hard work, wholeheartedly. I know how hard they work. So to take our ideas, and it's more work. Like, and at first when I started to become a commissioner, it wasn't easy, dude. Like, I thought I could make a bigger difference than I could. But an advisory role is not all it's cracked up to be, right? It's an advisory role, and that's what it is, right?
Okay.
So if you can't convince with the lobbying, right, you're just advising. And I've seen it a lot of times. We'll vote on things in our commissioner roles in all the different commissions, and then once it gets to council, they just don't accept the recommendation.
They just let it go.
Yes. That's where the lobbying comes in. So you can make policy that can be presented to council, and they can just be like, no, or I'll take this piece, or, they can do whatever they want with it at that point. So I kind of, as I've matured in the role and been chairman twice, I realized that the lobbying is very important in the whole process of being a commissioner as well. And the chairman role is important to change. Like, immediately when I got on there during COVID, they made me chairman.
For the arts and okay.
I respected it. I was like, wow.
So the roles are different between chair and commissioner.
Yeah, not really. You just run the meeting, and you learn the method of Robert's Rules of Order and all that, right?
Gotcha.
Right? And then also you are usually representing as the voice of that body, if a reporter or somebody wants information on that. Mm-hmm. So I often would be speaking with the Sun on things. They'll call me and be like, hey, what's going on? Sometimes you make it in the article, sometimes you don't, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The Sun paper for San Bernardino.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Gotcha. And so I guess like a collaboration that would probably occur between you or the arts and preservation team and Parks and Rec would be like the Arts and Music Festival.
Yes.
Right?
So oftentimes they're doing all the work,
Gotcha.
right? So like we're just like looking at their body of work and saying, wow, that's incredible. Or there's an aspect of it that needs to be voted on. Right now we're working on like an art policy for murals across the whole city.
Okay.
So they take aspects of of art. I think it encompasses everything. So they learn from other areas and then bring it here and then create another one, and we study it and we change what we think might need to be changed, and then we submit our ideas, and then it alters to the edit, and then eventually we'll have an art policy for the whole city of San Bernardino. With the historical aspect, the positive thing that's come about is from my initial startings of trying to protect these and that. Now the Historical Society, a pioneering Historical Society of San Bernardino, and Parks and Rec are currently working on a culmination of all the historical sites in the city of San Bernardino in one database. I believe Nick and Lynn and the team over there are doing most of the work. But eventually Parks and Rec will be more heavily involved.
Okay.
And this will be like our first really updated list in a long time.
A very long time.
Yes, and will be something that hopefully will all be online with associated pictures and be able to access the data.
Yeah.
Ultimately, giving our history more protection over the long run.
One thing I would like to ask, if you can throw this on, it brought to my attention. Can we bring more live music to the community? Can you ask the city if we can do that, or make that like a policy somehow? Advise that, because I think it would be really nice to bring more live music, because music just lightens up the city. And I was at the farmers market a couple of days ago, and one of the vendors was saying that he was in Claremont and he heard this beautiful singer at their farmers market, and I was listening around, and I was like, huh, maybe we should have some live music here at this farmer's market. So, I don't know. I just wanted to pass that on to you.
So, I'll just lay it out for you.
Yeah.
It's usually money, right?
It's always money, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, like, nobody wants to perform for free, especially if they think it's a city event. Unless they really love the city and they're willing to give their talents for free. But even that, you got to put gas money and all this stuff, right? So sometimes they do pay artists when it's in the budget to sing and stuff like that. But oftentimes, even at the volunteer ones and the pay ones, I'll go there and there aren't any people.
At the event.
At the event. And I'm not making fun. I'm just saying there's just no one there. And that it's not conducive to a good art music scene. Where I do see a good art music scene is right up there at Yavama or LA, a little bit, Glen Helen.
Okay.
Some of the local bars, Celebrities tries to put on some good stuff. I heard locally Noah's is trying to do some good stuff with putting on music.
Okay, Noah James?
Noah's restaurant. I think it's on D Street down here.
Okay.
But Noah James is a cool dude.
Yeah,
We interviewed him on my radio show, yes.
Shout out to you, Noah.
Poet and an artist.
Yeah.
Totally cool. I don't know,
You just don't see it? Okay.
Yeah, I see it, dude. And I don't want to be negative.
Yeah.
I have actually interviewed so many of these performers you're talking about. That's part of my show I've been doing for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Always had a talent aspect. Initially inspired by Ipiani Lockhart, the motivational realizations himself, right? And I met a lot of people that way. Tristan Douglas, people that are instrumental in the music and art scene now, right? But they're so few and far between from the originals that I saw over the whole 10-year process. Because it's so hard to make it as an artist. People cannot stand the lifestyle, right? They got to do all that stuff for becoming a musician or a singer, and then you got to make money too, right? So you're trying to do all this stuff, and usually then they have a family and they give up. Yeah. So there are a few talented artists that have the ability to keep going and keep pushing and, have those side gigs that pay them every single Friday, and they live off tips, or they're, out there, busking their butt off, you know.
You can say ass.
Yeah.
Ass, tits, fuck,
You
whatever
know, just to make it, you know, and like, so.
Yeah, the only reason why I brought it up is because I follow a lot of the art stuff that happens in the community, and usually it's only for visual art. It's always like, okay, we're gonna do this mural here, we're gonna paint the benches for this, we're gonna do that, and I'm like, man, like, what about the?
I
what
guess
about the performing arts? Like, I'm not seeing anything being.
Yeah.
Done
So
for
like,
them.
for example, at Festival, all cultures were invited to present, including Polynesian dancing, Aztec dancers, like so. Those instances, and then they bring in MC Edwin Johnson, right? So he knows local singers, brings them into that. So there are some things I want to give credit that give local artists opportunities, especially chords and things like that. You know, building artists, right? And then we have the talent show on I Love San Bernardino County. You know, so we bring in artists over there. Yanni works hard to bring in poets and singers and talented musicians, gives them a place to sing. Max Zaire over there at Club Celebrities, he paid the famous Amasa Albright to sing over there and her band, and they really do try.
Yeah, people do, you know, and so, you know.
So there is good. It's just not easy. That's what I want to say.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I just was thinking, like I said, I see a lot of the grants go towards visual arts, and I don't see much happening for
okay.
performing arts.
So my answer to that, I did have an answer. There was aspects of the grant that did have to do with dancing, video, and things of that nature. And Acoma did get a video grant at one point from our city. So that
cool.
Yeah. So like there was also a little gallery that they used their video grant to do videos with the Garcia Center.
Gotcha.
Then there was dancing that was done, cultural dancing and stuff. But a lot of these places that was done maybe not at a public city event. Okay. So the grants did go to some of those other art forms. It's just they are not as easy to recognize.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha. That clarifies a lot of things.
Okay, but we still need people to show up for all our artists, every event, you know?
Yeah.
And when we do have events in the city that have performers, we gotta go.
Period. You also host your own show, I Love San Bernardino, at the KCAA radio station, right? How long has that been going on? Why'd you start it? And also, the three-parter, how did you meet your partner in crime at Beyond Locker? So if you can remember all three, I can repeat those, but let me know.
Well, my first answer is I don't think Beyond Locker has ever done a crime in his whole life, man. This is a spiritual dude.
Yeah.
So good. But how it all started was this man named Danny Alcaraz. And I think he saw something in me. I think he saw that I could give access to an audience. I think he saw that I could give him access to possible votes for his tow company. I think he saw me as a possible star and had a certain amount of respect for me, but also I felt used.
Can you explain?
Yeah, because I didn't like, I don't know, I didn't like that whole tow company part.
Like promoting the tow company?
No, because like he had a, you know, when you work with the city, you know, he had a contract with the city, right?
Okay.
So all that just made me feel like I was getting in the middle of something that I really didn't, you know, belong in the middle of. That. So then like eventually what happened, so we did that for a couple years, had a great time. I was doing I Love San Bernardino by myself, part of the Danny Alcaraz block with Angel Baby and Boogie Brown and Paul Rosso. It was freaking awesome, man. We had a good core team. Like Elmo was there for a little bit doing his thing, right? We did it. And then Danny told me that I couldn't do the show Cannabis Corner anymore. like it wasn't a show. It was just a little 15-minute segment that I was using, right? And he said I couldn't do it, so I quit. I said, like, wait a second, you're taking away my creative juices. Once someone does that to me, I walk away.
Yeah.
Because that's just, unless it's really needed for some reason, and if I can't find the reason in my brain and I think over it, I'm like, nah.
Yeah, because that's just the first step. Who knows what's going to happen after that?
Exactly. You're just going to start getting bullied the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens in entertainment, because it's all about money, paying for that show, getting the money up for that show every single week. That's what it's about, right? So if you stop bringing in that money, but you're really talented, what does that equal?
Nothing.
Yeah, you just end up losing your job by bringing somebody that can bring money.
Mm-hmm.
So you better get talented at getting money on your own. I finally figured out that like I could get sponsors for my own show if I wanted to, right? So that's why I went to Elmo and said, hey, let's do the Cannabis Corner. Went through that. You know, honestly, had some very good times, dude. I mean, was like a cannabis superstar, and during the medical cannabis heyday here in San Bernardino, got to go to all the events, free, all kinds of product testing. We'd have all the companies come on the show. It was before vaping was illegal, so like, you know, like it was a blast. We did have a good time. Legalization happened. The show felt like it was changing, and the relationship I had with Elmo was a little bit volatile. And I still love Elmo, and I give him lots of respect. But we kind of parted ways and did our own thing. And then he moved up in the high desert, does his thing. I do mine, but I left that show. And then Carmel Rowe ran for mayor, and at that time, Carousel Mall during this whole transition had shut down totally, and the radio station left the Carousel Mall and moved out to Redlands. So I went over to talk to Mark Westwood at KCAA and said, hey, dude, I want my show back, but I want to call it I Love San Bernardino County. I'm going to do it with Carmel Rowe. Set this up. We did. It started going. It's been about 6 years since that. And Carmel eventually, she had to move with her kids to Arizona. We miss Carmel very much. That was a lot of fun, running those shows. It was fun when she was running for office too. That was cool, having like someone running for mayor on your show, and then you know we'd go to the meetings and then talk there. You know, it was all integrated and a lot of fun. Then I did my own time, and COVID, and that was, you know, like COVID was hard. You know, that was hard. That was hard work because I wasn't really an essential worker. I didn't feel like it, but I was technically essential worker. Right? Entertainment was still essential, but like, you know, since I don't get paid, I was really not a worker. I mean, I pay for those shows, so like I was like, you know, what am I? But I still had to risk, you know, driving, do all that stuff that, you know, and during those times, it was a little scary doing all that.
Yeah, no one knew what was going on.
Yeah. So like, and then having to change the format, like, you have a show where you're interviewing people in face to face, and then you have to switch totally to the phones. And like the phones kept malfunctioning.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So like,
fun.
yeah, like, you know, I would have a star on the show, and then it would malfunction, and I couldn't have the show. Like, or like
the show would be streaming live, right? You stream live, right?
Yeah, it was like, but we finally got it fixed, you know, and that all that went through, and then COVID ended finally, and you know, I honed my skills on COVID, like learning how to get phone interviews, all that stuff. So I mean, it served its purpose, but I am glad that COVID is over, and we can have face-to-face interviews again without a mask. Thank you. Oh. And been doing that since. Jesse, you know, I've had a few co-hosts that have come in and tried and hung out. My friend Jesse Morphin did it for a little while. Often what happens is, no joke, they're usually a family issue. A kid has to go to school at a certain time or has t-ball practice or whatever it is. So it's okay. If they want to come back sometimes, they co-host, they leave, whatever, you know. I just kept going on my own, Then Yanni comes back, does a few shows with me, and says, "Hey, man, I'd like to help you. Can I do talent show too?" And I thought that was, it's a good break from the politics and the culture and the history to just enjoy some just pure politic free music and poetry. So that's how Yanni got involved there, and we've been hustling entertainment ever since, man.
I love it.
Yeah, having a good time. I mean, we really have gotten to put some smiles on people's faces, and when you're trying to do good in the community, sometimes like when others recognize you, it gives you a little more energy, a little more oomph. You know?
Yeah.
So you can make it a little bit longer, barely surviving.
Yeah. It gives some juice to the battery.
Yes,
You
yes,
know
there
what
you go.
I mean?
You got it. You got it.
100%. It's amazing how a little thing to say, "Hey, man, I see you out here," can do so much to just like, okay. Because I'll just give you my perspective. Sometimes it feels like you're just grinding and just doing it and just doing it and just like, you're doing your job, you're doing what you think is best. And then you're like, okay, I think I'm doing something out here. I feel like I am. And then you get that outside perspective, that outside confirmation. It's just like, okay, thank you. Thank you for confirming.
And unfortunately, it sometimes can be rare or held back in our town.
Can you explain?
So what my mission has been is to try to increase the amount of recognition if possible. So, not having to lobby for something important, I may lobby for something like that, right? So I'll be like, "Hey, you think you can work on this? And you could help us out this way because of that." Or I don't know. I had a brain fart. What was I talking about? I think because I have a little bit of cotton on me.
We were talking about that outside confirmation.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so that to get the confirmation, like so I would be like, "Hey, you can print up those awards. You can print them up like candy. You can give them out like candy. Please do." Right? Those awards cost like 40 cents. I mean, a little bit of time. Maybe a little bit more for staff time to print that stuff up.
Yeah.
Right? But regardless, like the amount of joy that these hard workers get by just receiving a piece of paper that looks all like a certificate and everything is, it could inspire a whole new genre of hard work that they've not even done, or
True.
or make them start a business, or who knows?
You never know.
Yeah. So I like to do that on I Love San Bernardino, as we have this standout of the week.
I was going to talk about that.
Yeah. So we have a different standout every week, a nonprofit or a local hero in our eyes, and Ben Chavez from First Lineage Site Services, like just kind of funds that one segment of the show every single week, and we change who it is. And you've been a standout of the week yourself over there.
Yeah.
Because of the hard work you've done, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I like to recognize us. Right? We work hard, but we get very little recognition. And oftentimes, I think that's because others may think that, we're getting ourselves out there. You understand what I'm saying?
Let's be straightforward with this, Robert,
Okay.
so we can know.
All right. So like we have the network, right? We're our own reporters. So like we can give ourselves awards, kind of like that. So like if you see somebody so much because they are that face, like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like maybe they think that you don't need an award. Like you're already getting all that self-esteemish stuff that you should be getting. Or the other thing is straight up pure competition.
Okay. Or hate or something like that.
Well, competition always leads leads in certain directions, but one of those directions can be hate, but it also can lead to success.
Hmm.
So if you use it how you choose to use it, I try not to hate my enemies. Try to find something to love about them because there's something that I'm jealous about, obviously, right? Something makes me not like them. What is it, right? What is that thing, right? Is that something bad about myself, or is that something that I want to make sure that I never do, right? What is it?
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know why it's made me think about it, but one of the biggest, I guess, one of the biggest Instagram pages related to the city of San Bernardino. I saw them at an event, and I was like, man, I've been trying to reach out for you guys for a while because I want to talk to you guys, and they kind of just like brushed me off, and I'm like, well, you should kind of understand being in this field, like how important it is to share perspectives and stuff like that. And I'm like, now that you mentioned, I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're low key kind of hating, but
No,
who knows?
it is.
Who knows? I don't know.
Okay,
It's
so
very interesting.
when I saw your show first, I was inspired, dude. Right? But like some people aren't. They don't feel that way. They want that competition, or they want to be better than everybody. But like I felt like I could learn from you. Like I felt like, wow, he actually freaking listens. Good. I can do that better. Right? Those are the kinds of things you need to learn from your competition. Not be like, oh man, they got more likes or they more. I mean, I went through all that. I have the biggest group in San Bernardino. Oh, I have the biggest group.
Yeah.
Who had the biggest group? Not anymore. Right? That thing just got lifted twice off of me, right?
Take it all away.
Yeah, that don't mean nothing.
Yeah.
That is nothing. A business.
Gone.
Yeah.
And I don't personally, for me, I don't look at it as competition. I just look at there's enough for everybody to eat. That's kind of how I look at it. It's like, hey, there's enough for all of us to eat. Like, there's no need to hate. Like, hey, there's enough for everybody to eat.
Hence why I don't mind the other I Love San Bernardinos that are total copycats. I love San Bernardino this, or I love San Bernardino that, or whatever.
There's copycats out there?
Yeah. Oh, so many. And I even get, unfortunately, I take the heat for those I Love San Bernardinos too. But, I also may be getting the credit for some of it as well.
Okay.
Right? So you don't know. Well, either or. But what it really comes down to is if those people are loving San Bernardino, that was my initial intent at the beginning. So I'm succeeding every time there's a new group that says I love San Bernardino. I shouldn't be looking at it as copyright or any of that stuff. And Facebook don't care.
Period.
Yes.
Yeah. And Robert, I wanted to get into like more community stuff, right? That you're involved with. So for example, I wanted to know like how important is it for you to be collaborating with local businesses like celebrities, the Green Shack, and I'm certain there's others, but how important is this for these local businesses to be working with you and just working with the community?
So like, for example, the Green Shack and Nardine Manel and Jerry and Nick and, Max and Zoe over at Celebrities, they love our community. And they know that if I'm doing well, it's helping our community. And if they can help me help the community, in a sense, they're also helping the community as well. What do I have to offer them? I have access to politicians. I can put you out there marketing-wise. And I can come into your spot and grub your food and spend my money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you always want more customers too, right? So that not looking at it as a only money relationship has allowed me to thrive and allowed the relationship to thrive in hard times and difficult times. Whereas if you don't have that community relationship with your friends, that if they don't believe in you, guess what happens? As soon as they're not receiving any benefit from that networking, they leave. And those sponsors are okay. I try not to get them anymore because I'd rather help the people that want to help the community and see like helping me with gas money and things like that get around is important versus just getting their business name out. But what also these groups that help me and the businesses that help me, what it does is gives me an opportunity to showcase other local businesses as well.
Yeah.
And those businesses may not even know I'm coming. And most of the time I don't tell them.
Even better.
Yeah. They offer me free food all the time. A lot of places do. Sometimes I take it. Sometimes I don't. A lot of times I don't like to take it at first. I want to go try the food, right? Because I don't want to be influenced. I want to see how it is and everything first, right? Sometimes I won't even let them know, and I'll just put up a video later.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll contact me. Hey, you went over there. Why didn't you tell me about
You came over.
yeah. Other times, like
wanna
one
give
time,
you-
they're like, please come for a Valentine's dinner. And I'm like, wow, me?
Yeah.
Amy? All right, we'll come. So we went there and had a Valentine's dinner and put a video out for their company and everything. So,
Yeah.
but they were a one-time sponsor, right? So they didn't really care about helping the community through me for a long time. They got their little bit of,
Publicity.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so it's a little bit of everything, but it's fun to go out there and meet the people in the community, and it's also fun to meet the workers. Like my favorite thing is to say hello to the chef that's back there cooking our food,
Yeah.
or make sure they get the tip.
That part.
Yeah,
That part.
yeah. You want to see a smile on someone's face. You cross the line and you hand that tip directly to the chef.
True. What it reminds me of, like you said, people recognize you so much around here, right? And it made me think, shout out to Jason Lola again, you're basically like the Ronald McDonald's for San Bernardino.
Oh, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
You're like the image,
yeah,
at least for the I Love San Bernardino and positive side of San Bernardino.
yeah, we're always gonna be known for the first McDonald's and be associated with trains and the Great Arrowhead of San Bernardino.
Yeah.
Whether my name is really remembered or not doesn't really matter. Nah. What matters is that I leave a legacy of love for this time period that I'm a part of that can be studied in the future and leave a positive taste in their mouth with a little dose of truth instead of a negative taste with a dose of truth.
Yeah. I think what's really important about being involved with the community and the business and vice versa is that we're not being separate. We're being together. We're working together. And the only way a community can be a community is by communing with each other and working together. So that way we can be stronger together and stronger united. So that's what I think is really one of the positive things about it. And, I wanted to get into,
It really is like, it's a little more than just business and, it's a business, people, non-for-profits in the city, governments, like combined, that makes the community the strongest.
Yeah.
And the school district and the hospitals, right?
And all those things combined.
Yeah.
And, I wanted to get into, because we talked about a lot about the Arrowhead and stuff like that. So, you're currently working on a project, and correct me if I'm saying this wrong, but it's like the Native Mega Art, right? Can you talk to us about what that is? What's it about and why?
Okay, so I'm a trained and educated archaeologist, anthropologist. I spent my days, 15 years worth, right out of college, cutting my teeth in some of the hardest compacted lake bottom clay soil you've ever dug through in your entire life to find very sacred cremations or arrowheads, foodstuffs. Did my time, really did. Not only could I say archaeologist from a young age, I was shown the arrowhead my whole life. My dad pointed it out, my grandfather pointed it out. I mean, it was just, it's magnificent, right? And if you don't know how to look for it, like, it's easy to find, right? Like,
it's right there.
Yeah, but like at first there is, I've noticed there is that second in their minds where they can't see it, right? That instant where they're like, they look at it like, there's nothing there. But then the glow of their eyes when they focus and they see the arrowhead itself and how big and huge and magnificent it is on the hill, right? So I've done this probably 5,000 times. So one of my little side projects as being Robert Porter is I will just grab people in parking lots and show them the arrowhead. Mm-hmm. Because you can see it from our whole city. So I'll get in a right angle and I'll see it and I'll be like, hey, have you ever seen the arrowhead? I'll point that thing out, right? It's just my little way of getting the history out there, right? So being an archaeologist, I decided I was going to go back to college at Cal State San Bernardino, get my master's. And I left archaeology. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go for a hike. I'm going to hike to the top of Arrowhead Peak. Hike up there at the top. Well, that's not that easy, but I went to Waterman Canyon. I got out and walked around there, and I realized immediately that was an old village site. I was like, wow, this is amazing, right? And it had just been burned off and watered down heavily. So for the anthropologist, archaeologist, to me, it was easy to tell, wow, this is really, really beautiful. So I knew that there was something, I mean, it just started sparking more native thought there, the possibilities of indigenous stuff. Because if you read about the arrowhead, it says it's natural. Until I changed the Wikipedia page. Yeah. So it says natural and possibility. That the Native Americans altered it, which I know they did, but you know we're still dealing with those naturalists, like everything to be natural, even a huge, giant arrowhead on the side of the mountain. But even after the Boy Scouts in the 1940s, outlined it. Well, whoa, the Boy Scouts outlined it, and the Friends of the Arrowhead did work on it. Yes, it's human-made, partially, right? It's human-made twice. Right? So the Native Americans first altered that. And then later on, as time went on, the Boy Scouts altered it as well. And probably the Friends of the Arrowhead with some of their seed bombing and things like that. Mm-hmm. So the history of the Arrowhead is integrated into our community at every level when it comes to history. Almost every book has it in there. Yeah. When it comes to history. They talk about Arrowhead Springs, that's right below it, and the reason that Arrowhead Springs Hotel was there in the first place, because it was inspired by the Great Arrowhead and the hot springs associated with it, with thousands of years of indigenous history related to the Yahaviatam and Serrano clans that used to live in this area, right? So my mama and my grandma, Porter, worked at Campus Crusade for Christ up at Arrowhead Springs. In fact, when she had me in her uterus, can you say uterus on here?
Well, you could say, hey, you could say fuck. I guess that's where the uterus comes involved.
So my mama, so I was working at Arrowhead Springs. I was right here holding up the big trays, my mama said.
Gotcha.
So she was balancing.
Trays meaning boobs?
No, on her belly.
Okay,
on her belly. Yeah, right on her belly, right? So gotcha. I was doing the hard work. My baby shower was there. My mom has a story about that. There, she almost they surprised her and she almost fell back in the place. But I've always been associated mentally, physically, in utero, spiritually too. I mean, with Arrowhead Springs and the Arrowhead.
Yeah. So what's native mega art?
So imagine the arrowhead itself. It's made by local natives. Native American plants are used in its creation. Native American mineral resources are used in making it. Native American construction technique was used to make it. So, hence, native mega art. Large piece of art, mega huge. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel like geoglyph gave it enough emphasis.
So do you coin this term? Did you coin this term?
Yes, this term is because others have not taken the time to take it to that level yet. This art is all over our hills. And it's not because they had intention of just making only art. These are old feral gardens, right? So imagine that you are a stone, not a stone age, but stone utilizing, wood utilizing, plant utilizing, natural animal material utilizing group. You're going to want to have access to all the local materials. None of it's foreign to you. You know every single one. Your family's known for thousands of years every single piece of everything around here, right? They've been trading everything around, right? They have family members that have like married into other areas around here.
Yep.
So it was such a strong relationship that as an archaeologist, I noticed it. I noticed the connections between the groups and the clans around here were very strong, and usually at the cousin level. And then as I studied the old history, I realized that some of the songs themselves relate to local things or areas in our neck of the woods here in San Bernardino.
Okay.
And one of them happened to be a great white deer. One of them happened to be a great snake that came down from the arrowhead. And the other one was the arrowhead itself. So in my initial studies of the native mega art, I ignored the arrowhead. Okay. And if someday somebody goes through all my research over the years, they'll see a progression and a change of thought line processes. I had to ignore the arrowhead in my mind to understand what was going on with the other images on the hill, because the Boy Scouts of America had already altered it. So I wasn't sure if it was really original, right? Mm-hmm. I did have old photographs, right? So, yeah. But they don't look exactly like the new stuff, right? So I couldn't use the arrowhead because the arrowhead had been altered.
Why do you think the Boy Scouts altered the other ones as well?
Well, no, they just altered that one.
Just the arrowhead only?
Yeah. Okay. So what they did is they planted 20,000 trees around it. I've read they said they were Israeli cypresses. Maybe there was twice it was done. When we went up and hiked it the other day, Ken Ramirez from San Manuel and Sean identified on their app that there was a pseudo willow that is actually from Africa. I think it was Africa that outlines the arrowhead. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So those plants were planted there, right, to make it look different. But the original is more of a more beautiful arrowhead.
I got you. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but the why you decided to do this is because you've always been associated with the arrowhead, and it kind of just expanded into this native mega art.
So, as Google Earth came out, and my ability to understand how to use that technology came out, it gave me an opportunity to look at these areas before I hiked them. So I knew that, like, I just went to Waterman Canyon and there was a village site there, and I was like, wow, I wonder if there's a dancing circle.
What does that mean?
Or a pit house where they used to do their dancing. Like, not a pit house, a ceremonial area that was surrounded by brush that was a little bit down into the ground. And those are easy to see from the sky, right? Archaeologists, we look for circles and squares and angles because there's a lot of times are associated with humans. So I was looking for dance circles, right? You know, I'm like, there's an arrowhead here. Like, maybe there's more art, right? And then I noticed that the area in Waterman Canyon was kind of the rocks around this area were shaped in a bear face image. I was like, yeah, like that's just, you know, I kind of blew it off, but it was still kind of interesting. I thought, oh, maybe it was just the bulldozer at a fire had crunched up a bunch of boulders or, whatever, right? You know, it could have been anything, right? But then when I went back to look at it, there was no plow scars. There wasn't that evidence. It was still there. Like, wow, well, maybe this is something. Like, if I was gonna move boulders, like, how would I put them in a shape? Or, so these kinds of ideas just kept going through my brain, right? And I just happened to be looking up there, and I seen the bear face image at the top of Arrowhead Peak. My niece says she saw it first, so we'll
we won't fight her. We won't fight her.
Yeah. She saw it first. But that bear face like sparked like this unimaginable fire to want to learn more. And then when I saw the leaping jaguar, that looks very like, some people say it looks like a leaping cat or a mountain lion, but I know it's a jaguar. And it's on McKinley Mountain, and it is beautiful. And it's unmistakable for me. So at that point, I knew I was on to something that wasn't normal or something that we had studied in anthropology, except for the various, the Blythe Intalgos, or the Nazca lines, or the
of Peru, Nazca lines.
Yeah, or the mounded snakes for the mound builders over in the Mississippi River Valley, like those kinds of things, right? So I was like, wow, all those civilizations have this stuff. How come in the California Bight, where we have 3 major river systems, all of the mountain resources, we didn't have some major civilizations develop right here in this area? So what I realized is it did. We just came upon what was left over after they had been very decimated by the first interactions with Western diseases and culture. Like, and
the Europeans.
Yeah, the Native Americans met with Cabrillo, and then it was almost 170 something years before there was another contact period, right? So, like, what could happen in that time, right?
A lot.
Yeah,
a lot could happen in that time.
Yeah, so like, and then the anthropologists that did study a lot of the ethnographic information that was left with the 90-year-olds and some of the younger initiates that went through the traditional puberty rite ceremonies and stuff associated with the Southern California culture area, they were in their elder years. So a lot of the information is fragmented in pieces here, pieces there. But if you go to that group, that is their information. So how dare I say it's fragmented?
Yes, disrespectful.
Yeah, but if you would to look at how similar it is in exact language to a song from over here and a song from over here, and then from the wildcat moiety or the coyote moiety, and then you start adding these pieces together, you start realizing, whoa, there was some similarities, and probably maybe a long time ago, an original song.
Yeah, a connection.
Yes.
Okay.
That connection has made me realize, wow, if there's a bear up there, and there could be more stuff up here, right? So I'm like, I keep looking at the Arrowhead Peak, and I keep looking at the bear, and then all of a sudden, as I'm just looking on Google Earth one night, I'm just looking at it, and I'm like, whoa, there's a coyote right there there's a coyote on Arrowhead Peak. Mm-hmm. And I knew immediately coyote bit the god's heart. It's part of the Yuhaviatam song. It's a part of the Agua Caliente song. It's a major part of the song. And I was like, this is a song. Well, if that's coyote, and that's a bear, and that probably would be the god because it's at the top of a totem, the top of the mountain. I go, but there's one more. There's the creator. Where's the creator? What's the creator? What's the creator? I didn't know. What's the creator? What's the creator?
Gotcha. So we just kept taking you down this rabbit hole.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know what the creator was, but the creator was. I figured it was what I've seen in some of the historical writings named as Bear Mountain Lion. Right?
Okay.
So I'm like, what is Bear Mountain Lion? Right?
Gotcha.
Well, I think what they were trying to explain at the time was like jaguars are freaking huge. They're the size of bears. They're way bigger than a mountain lion, right? So if you were going to explain the top predator, I mean, jaguars eat bears, right? So if you're going to explain the top predator, right, and you don't know how to explain it to a Western archaeologist, yeah, you're gonna. So it made me think, wait, was there jaguars in this area? Like, because I start thinking, Mesoamerica and Central America.
Of course.
Immediately, like, is there what's going on here? Is there? And then it came out. That was a cat there. I seen the feline nose. And then at the top of Arrowhead Peak, there's a jaguar head. But why I was having such a hard time seeing it is it's a little bit lighter. And it actually is made several times on top of Arrowhead Peak. So when you're looking up at it, it doesn't matter what area of the city you're in.
Yep.
It's watching you.
I love that.
Yes. So like the Mona Lisa kind of thing. Once I made that connection that it matched the Yahaviatom's creation history or similar to it, I knew that I was onto a writing or a language that was of images. That the local peoples here were said that they only had oral tradition. So I was like, well, wait a second. These are glyphs. This is writing in a language that any of them could read in all their different languages.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's an image, so that's a coyote.
Yeah. Images speak a lot easier.
So that's how I started getting started, and I started finding images in other areas. Initially, I would go immediately with my camera, take pictures of them. I checked out cuts of some of the mounds I found.
Cool.
And the cuts actually show where they planted the plants on top. Usually sage or black sage or whatever in those gardens, and then the plants go through a very good material for nutrients, and then a beautiful leach line level of sand and rock to leach line the water down the hills.
Gotcha.
For watering them during the dry times.
Nice, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get into.
All right.
Robert, what's it? We're running out of time, Robert. Go.
Okay. Oh, this is important.
Go ahead.
If you're looking at a civilization, what does it take to create that civilization? And if it takes more than it's being presented archaeologically, something's wrong. And that's where I'll end it.
I like it. So, you said you speak with, the natives that are, you communicate with these.
The local indigenous peoples, the different clans.
You have to speak with them, right, to get this communication. So, how has your relationship been with communicating with these indigenous people here and around? How has your relationship built and grown with them?
So when you're an anthropologist, archaeologist, you work with what they call Native American monitors. And when I first started, a lot of the original Native American monitors were from the tribes that live in this area, right? But then slowly, as they were more successful and got more money, they started to hire a lot more from other areas of the United States, the Native American monitors. Mm-hmm. So I was immersed in Native culture for sometimes 8 to 12 hours at a time, just having to stand there with them, looking for artifacts and in what we call shoot the shit, right? Talk. Yeah. And, when you're sun drunk with your friends.
Not heat stroke, right?
Well, sun drunk is when you feel like you're drunk in the sun. Okay. So you'll know when you have it, and you'll say just about anything. You act like you're drunk. You really do. And you'll talk about everything, right? And when you're bored, looking for stuff, you talk, right? So I just learned their culture and, learned that a lot of them are cousins or have relatives on this reservation or that reservation. And I grew to respect them so much that I, got to party with them and, sometimes stay at their reservation when, the job was far away or, you develop friendships. And I met Mr. James Ramos, at a reinterment site over in Redlands for the first time. Mm-hmm. And I met, I think... Oh, Pauline Murillo, that was who it was. She came out there, and one of the old elders, rest her soul, and, walked out there, and we reburied all the artifacts at that property. So those initial interactions as an archaeologist, later on when I found the mega art, I didn't know what to do. I used that network. I talked to them, right? And one of my good friends from Saboba introduced me, Virginia Duenas introduced me to Bunny Silvas from Saboba. And she was like seventh or eighth generation there. And her dad had like 150 songs. And she saw this stuff with me, and she helped me hone it, and she showed me the stories that were associated with Saboba, and we found that art, right? So at this point, I'm realizing, she's showing me exactly where they were singing, exactly where she had found an old turtle rattle way back in the day, and her grandpa made her put it back immediately, right?
Put that back.
Yeah. That same canyon has those songs around it, right? So like we were like, wow, this is so cool. It's more than one spot.
Yeah.
And so then my issue is I'm in San Bernardino.
Yeah.
And I knew Pakumatanowit, but we called him Shorty, short dog, and he was Dog Face Gods. He was like a local band, and in high school we all knew him and the Brahases because I was at Pacific, and like we knew they were from San Manuel, but we didn't really know them. We just knew people who knew them, right?
Yeah. So
like I didn't know anybody, and it was really hard at first to share the art because it's from San Bernardino. It's their art. It's not mine. But like they didn't know at first what to do either. I'm saying I'm seeing things in the hills. So I just kept documenting. And then I wrote the book, Native Mega Art, in 2014. And then I wrote a second edition in 2016. And then I wrote The Legends of the Arrowhead, a compilation of all the legends of the Arrowheads, even some that were attributed to the Javiatam and the Serrano, that had not been recorded before, at least through Western research.
So your work kind of helped strengthen your relationship with these communities.
Yes, to show them that I'm being truthful. I've never lied. I've always told the truth. I'm not going to lie. It's not mine. I'm not making money.
Yep.
This is about giving back, right? If there is a huge civilization that we're missing here, and it shows that the peoples that we took a lot of land and resources from have these pieces of art laid out in the hills. Who owns that land? Who has rights to that land? The people that have been having it taken away from them over and over and over again. Whether it's through the actual barrel of a gun or a swindle, or pennies on the dollar, kind of thing, right?
Signing a paper.
Yeah, and I believe that like this vibrant culture deserves that type of credit. And I think big. After I found the mega art, all the things that are necessary to make a culture, mathematics, and agriculture.
Yep.
And religion itself, the sophistication of it,
Yep.
writing it down, all that stuff that's necessary for a civilization could not occur to make the mega art, right? And if the mega art's not there, but the mega art's there, so all those other things had to occur.
Period.
Yeah, and that's how it's hard for scientists, right? Because scientists aren't at the mega art level; they're at the I collected this data level. Right? And this is the only data that's collected and exists, right? So they can't make that jump over because they've not accepted that the mega art exists.
Wow. Well, shout out to you, Robert.
Yeah, it's going to take some time, but through genetic testing of plants, LIDAR, penetration of that areas, seeing the compaction and all that stuff, eventually
We'll clear up everything.
Yeah, the science will show exactly what I'm
truth.
describing.
Well, shout out to you and that whole community, man. I'm pretty sure they're definitely grateful and they, build that respect. What's one thing that most people, even close people, don't know about you, Robert?
One thing that most people don't know about me.
It could be simple, like I cross my toes at night.
Um, okay, I got one. I love the feeling of alcohol, but I hate the taste.
Mm-hmm.
That I banned it forever.
I got you. So we got to make like some type of VR thing for him so he can have the feeling but not the taste,
Well, no, I just have a virgin daiquiri, right?
I like it. I like
still
it.
tastes good.
Robert, I want to thank you so much for being on the Empire. Let's say 100 years pass by, 250 years pass by. What would you like your empire to look like, whether it's community involvement, mega art, anything, love, peace, positivity? What would you like your empire to look like 250 years from now?
I wish for the anthropologists and historians to be able to look back on my legacy with honor, pride, and respect. And that's the legacy I wish to leave. I don't wish to leave money. I don't wish to leave fame. I just wish to leave the truth.
I love that. I love that. Robert, thank you so much again for being on the Empire. Can you please let everybody know how they could find you, support you, all those good things?
Well, first join on Facebook, I Love San Bernardino by Robert Porter, or I Love San Bernardino page, or you can follow us on KCAA NBC. We are 106.5 FM, 1050 AM over at KCAA NBC, and we're called the I Love San Bernardino County Show. So that's how to get a hold of me.
Awesome. And we'll have
the books are Native Mega Art on Amazon and Legends of the Arrowhead on Amazon.
Nice. And we'll have all those links in the description so you guys can find them and stuff like that. Even his YouTube channel for Mega Art, we'll also have that in the description. And we're going to close out, but I have to ask these two questions, which is, I guess the first one is, do you think you found your purpose?
In my life?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It feels so comfortable. I didn't know it before the Mega Art, but now I know that's what I'm meant to do. And to find that purpose and to know that even if I don't do anything more, it's already on its way.
Gotcha. I love it.
Feels really good, dude.
I love it. It's always good to find purpose. And the last thing I wanted to ask you, and it's kind of related to, you mentioned about being sober. And I think you also told me before offline that you were, I guess, overweight at some time. Why did you decide to go on a healthy trip? What made you decide to become healthier?
Well, first of all, it's you want to live a little bit longer, right? So if you eat a lot of fast food and things like that, like I was doing after COVID, the weight just kind of piles on. But since I've basically used the calorie reduction method, I've reduced my calories by eating less meals and smaller ones. It's not easy. Sometimes I'll go all day without eating. But then I get to eat one meal that's usually within reason healthy and hog down on it, right? And then how can I inspire others to be healthy if I'm not being healthy myself? And I feel strong.
The Hulk.
Yes, I feel
Hulkamania.
I'm stronger than I've ever been. Believe me, team, I feel strong.
Oh, so you promote being healthy and eating well.
Absolutely.
I love that.
It changes everything of your life, man. Makes everything better.
Hello. Hello. The wifey, the lady of the house is very happy is what he's trying to say. The lady has no complaints is what he's trying to say, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, especially if I'm doing the dishes.
That part.
Yes, you got to put my strength into it.
Got you. Put some elbow grease,
Yeah, or push mowing the lawn.
Hey,
Yeah.
He out here working on multiple levels, folks. Multiple levels.
Yeah, we never even got into the gardening and all the other stuff I do in the community. So we may have to do a second,
Hey, we're here and we never know what it can do. So we're definitely open. And again, Robert, thank you so much. I want to thank everybody who watched and stayed this far. Please like the video if you haven't. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. My name is Antonio Lee Miles. I'm the host. If you want to support, everything's in the description. We have Cash App, all that jazz. But subscribing does well. And other than that, catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Peace.
I say it's my duty. Yeah. Is it my will? Yeah. To do what? Yeah. To do is right. I say.
Can I grab some water real quick?
Yeah, go get some water.
All right. I'll be quick here.